Weeping lasted all night. I know that joy comes in the morning light. So I'm marching to a new song, 'cause I've been marching to that old one way too long. And I gotta move on and take new steps every no, there's got to be another way, and a brighter day, so I march on.
Hello everyone, welcome back to P.U.R.E Live. It's Friday night at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, and you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Of course, you guys know that before we get into everything, we start with our sponsors. But we have a very interesting topic to go with today. For those of you guys that forgot that I did a photo shoot last weekend, and here's just a small taste. Bam. Bam. And these photos were done by this gentleman right here, Sean Lyles. And if you would like to get your work done, here's his information. I'll give you just a moment. And then we got to move on. But yes, he did an excellent job. I'm so pleased. You guys can see the rest of my pictures on my website at asiajamal.com or .net. I am them both. And moving on, we also have Posh Women's Apparel. And in one of those pictures, you will see that I was wearing one of their wonderful dresses. Boom. Here's some of the other dresses that they have. Posh Women. Yes. So that's my go-to. I normally wear their clothes. So if you want to look fly like me, this is where you gotta be. PoshWomen'sApparel.com. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So, also I've mentioned several times that I am a part of Boss Beauty Unsuccessful Strides, and the person that I will be interviewing today is also a part of it. So I have this wonderful video to play for you guys. So here we go.
Hey, sis. My name is Yasmin Brown, and I am the founder of Beauties on Successful Strides. We are your sisterhood community that cares, and we are advocates for your goals being achieved. I'm talking about those goals that you have put on the shelf, those stretch goals that you really, really want to accomplish, but a part of you feel like it might be impossible. We have been helping women to make the impossible happen, and we want to journey with you. We want to be part of your tribe to help you with making the impossible happen. And we do that by helping you to shift the no zone. The no zone is that zone where it's like, you know what, I really want to do it, but I don't know if I can. I don't know if I have enough resources to do so or the support to do so. No zone is also the fear zone. We help you to shift from the no zone, no matter what zone. The no matter what zone is having that head crusher, no matter what, get it done, bold, confident. And then we help you to be equipped with spiritual success strategies to success. That is basically helping you with developing systems that works while being part of a community that will support you, love on you, cheer for you, celebrate you, be resource providers for you, and so much more. Time is now, sis. If you are serious about your goals being achieved, if you are serious about making the impossible happen and reaching that next level, then join us. Become part of our sisterhood. Become part of a community that truly, genuinely, and I'm just excited to welcome you to Boss soon. Let's go. Let's take them goals off the shelf. Let's make them happen. Let's make the impossible happen for you. See you soon. Bye.
And she legit is like this all the time. And I have the website right there, beautystrides.com. You can go check her out. And again, like I said, for the things that I was showing earlier, for Posh Woman's Apparel, even the shades that I had on, from Abella Eyewear, and for Arlyle's Vision, you can go ahead and go on my website, ajajamal.com or ajajamal.net, and you will find all of those brands. They do a good job on those pictures, though. I'm just saying, like, bam, bam. Okay, I'm done. Let me stop clowning. Okay. All right. So today we have a wonderful, wonderful woman. She has an amazing story. I mean, the stuff that she does is very interesting. And I want you guys to get to know her because she's really cool. And her name is Barb Harvey. Everyone, welcome her.
Hey! Hey!
Thank you for being on the show.
I am so excited to be on your show. Thank you, Asia, for inviting me.
Absolutely, I appreciate you being here. So I just want people to understand. So she does something that is absolutely necessary. But I'm gonna tell you what she says in regards to her bio. She says, I train adults to be introspective and reach self-actualization, giving them the tools to empower their children to do the same. You want to unpack that? What does that mean?
Well, I really believe that for parents to have the kind of relationships they want, those loving, respectful, joyous relationships, it starts with having a good relationship with themselves. You know, being able to recognize who you are, what you believe, and why you believe it empowers you to help your children eventually do the same, to understand who they are, what they believe, and why they believe it. And uh, one of my favorites, Dr. Phil, says, you can't give what you ain't got. And
Hmm.
so,
Okay.
really helping adults figure out who am I, where do I want to go, to be introspective and to become more authentic as they learn about child development so that they are empowered to have those relationships with their children that'll last a lifetime. So,
Interesting.
thank you.
So, so I want to talk further about what you do and how you got into it. In looking at your bio, you've been on several interviews, radio show interviews, all kinds of interviews, talk show appearances on the news and things like that. How in the world did you get into all this and start sharing it all over the place?
Um, well, I started out really after I graduated. I was I got my undergrad in elementary education. I went to work at a camp in St. Louis called Kiwanis Camp Wyman, and many of the kids there were from a children's home called Annie Malone Children's Home, and I just started hearing stories from these kids that were uh, mind numbing, to be honest about it. Um, there was one story of a little girl whose mother boyfriend was abusing her, and the mom was so uh, misguided that she thought her 12-year-old daughter was competing for her boyfriend. I'm like, what? Wait. So that did not even make sense to me at the time. Um, but as I started working at a children's home and started talking to the kids, 201, they all just wanted to go home. They wanted to go home to their moms and dads. And I started to realize, okay, wait, so who's helping mom and dad? And as I started really looking around, I thought, there's nobody really helping mom and dad. And so I went back to get my master's degree, and then started really looking into parenting, um, and found out there were some really good programs out there. But what I didn't like about them was most of them were social work based. And so they were starting in a deficit point of view, and they were looking at parents as if they were broken. And I'm like, that's not the way to help people. So,
Okay.
not to bash social work, but it just, to me, if I'm going to help somebody, I have to give them the benefit of the doubt that they can go where I want them to go. Um, and so we're education. So I started an education based parenting program. Um, and when I moved to Georgia, I started working that program with a group of wonderful parents from a child care center called the Child Development Center of Roswell. And I worked with them for 4 years with that group of parents, and they helped me to really craft and hone and tighten up the program. So in 2007, I incorporated parent, teachers, and advocates, and we've been going strong ever since. We've had some great partnerships. We've had partnerships with Atlanta Public Schools, with Salvation Army, and also with, this is to me the best thing ever, because there is a child care center here in Atlanta that's been around since 1905. And I was in partnership for a while with them and taught their parents. So that was really
Huh.
exciting.
Wow, that's amazing. So, like I said to you guys, and please feel free to ask questions for all my viewers, listeners. Ask questions. I'm looking at your comments. Will respond. So, moving on. I, the reason I said, and I guess I'm bumping this too much. I feel like it's shaking. Okay. The reason that I said that you're so interesting is it's my understanding that you're actually not a parent. Is that correct?
I am not a parent, and but I
So
will tell
yeah.
this.
So,
How did I get into this field? That's a good
well,
question.
not before we get into how you get into the field. And yes, I agree with you, Yasmin. It is amazing. Before we get into that, have you ever dealt with anybody that asked you, what makes you think you're qualified to do this, not being a parent? What is your response to something like that?
Yeah, well, it's really interesting. One of my best friends, we've been friends since we were teenagers, and she was a mom, and I wasn't a mom. And she said to me, she said, "What, Barb? Why don't you teach about diabetes? Because you're really good in that area." She said, "You're not a mom. You've never given birth. You've never been a foster parent. You've never done any of that. So, what makes you think you can do this?" And I said, "Because this is the purpose for God put me on the earth for." Um, when I was 22 years old, I was fortunate enough to meet Dr. Miles Monroe. He and my former pastor were roommates in college at Oral Roberts University. And so he came and he said to me, "Find out for the purpose that God put you on the earth for, and then don't ever stop." And that's what I did. I prayed about it for years before I went to ORUA. That's where I got my master's degree. But before I went there, I just took some time and I asked God, and I prayed and I fasted, and I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing? Why did you put me here? And when he told me parenting, I said, full stop. Wait, hold it. Wait, I'm not a parent. And so I've gone for years and years and years, and in doing this work. And it was 2 years ago when he told me, he said, "The reason I wanted you in this field and I wanted you to not be a parent at this point in your life is because you understand parenting from a place that is completely non emotional. You're
Hmm.
not involved emotionally with this." Interestingly enough, my good friend I was telling you about a few minutes ago calls me
Uh-huh.
on a regular basis to talk to me about her teenagers. So, you know,
Interesting. I
it's
have this comment up because I wanted to address it. Because it's about motherly instincts. So, do you believe that you can have motherly instincts without being a mother?
I think I do. I
Okay.
think I do. You know, interestingly enough, the I told you that I was working with the daycare center parents. One
Hmm.
of those moms said to me, I'll never forget this, it still brings tears to my eyes. Thank you for mothering me so I can be a better mother to my children.
Wow.
And,
That's,
you know, when she said it, it floored me to this day. When I talk about it, I'm just like, wow.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I agree that you can have motherly instincts without being a mother. Before my sister became a mother, my sister Gina, she helped take care of me and my brothers. And she had such strong motherly instincts. I was just like, surely she's gonna be a mom one day. And I made her a godmother of my children and everything. And now she's a mom, and she's so great at it. So yeah, I think that that's something that can be planted in someone without actually starting off that way and being a mom. I want to get more into what this program is that you're talking. What does it do exactly?
Okay, it is an educational program, and we have several classes, but our kickoff class, the one that really defines the program, is called Defining Values, Achieving Goals. And what we do is we start looking at a parent's life from beginning to end. We start out with authenticity, we look at personality, we look at temperament, we talk about their values. We look at them as a person from the inside out. And then we take that knowledge and we talk about, okay, so now that you know yourself well, what is your life's mission? And so that class ends with every parent creating their own life mission statement.
Hmm.
And based on that, then they have a clear understanding of who they are as a person, where they want to go. And a lot of times we do some goal setting, so how they want to get there. And it just empowers them. And when they feel personally empowered, there's no place they can't go. And they feel like, oh, if I got this, I can raise my kids. I can help my kids become who they're meant to become because I know who I am, and I know, and I have the tools now that I can use to empower my kids to take them to where they want to go. I always encourage parents, your children can go so much further than you go, but they're only going to go as far as you go. So, I mean,
Hmm.
children take 80% of what they watch their parents do into their future and only 20% of what they say. So, how you live your life is going to be how they live theirs. And so, if you want them to have a better life, you have to live a better life first.
Okay. So how do you explain the many situations where the children actually surpass their parents in regards to the success of their lives?
Because wh- when parents set their kids up for success, when they push them beyond they learn to push beyond their limits. So it's kind of like a stair step kind of thing. I love the way Joel Osteen talks about it because he talks about the fact that his dad was was raised by a man who was a believer but wasn't really a strong believer. And as he became a strong believer, he grew up in a household where the belief was strong. And so he's standing on the shoulders of his father. You know, John Osteen never had a church of more than I think 3,000 people. Well, look at Joel Osteen. He's got a church of 25,000 people. And when his son gets older, should he become a pastor? we can probably expect him to have a church of 1 million people, because you can only go as far as the last person went before you. Does that make sense?
So what you're saying is not necessarily specifically where they've gone in life. You're talking more so of the strategy of how they got there.
Exactly. Because when you
Okay.
teach your children the strategy that you're using to go forward, they can take that strategy and push it forward. Every generation gets better than the one before, or every generation gets worse than the one before. It depends on what you're teaching.
Hmm. Okay. So and I'm asking these questions so people can understand, how you're able to look at these various situations and give your input and training. When a child is to drug addicts and those parents have kind of checked out, how do those children end up surpassing their parents? How do those children end up growing up and moving forward? Because there's been quite a few of those success stories. Not as many as I want, but there's been those success stories where it's like, okay, yeah, my mom and dad, they weren't what I should be, but I made it here. So how do you explain that phenomenon?
I explain it that there's somebody in that child's life who was paying attention, who was caring. It may not have been mom and dad, it might have been grandma. It might have been Aunt Susie. It might have been the neighbor across the street. But there's somebody who in that child's life who believed in them and put things of value into them. It's not always mom and dad, but
Hmm.
like you were saying, your sister was a big influence in your life. She was a motherly influence to you. She helped you grow, and not that your mom didn't, but
Right.
she
Hmm.
she helped she helped along the way. I mean, sometimes they say it takes a village to raise a child. I don't necessarily always agree with that, but the village definitely helps.
Yes, definitely helps. I know it helps mine. I am a mother, and I talked about a part of my testimony, and it took every bit of all the help that I got, to make the wonderful, beautiful children that I had. Of course, first and foremost, I had the aid of God Almighty. But
Amen.
I had my parents, I had my siblings, I had aunts and cousins. Everybody kind of chipped in regards to their upbringing. So that brings me to my next question. In regards to your training and classes, how often are you dealing with people that aren't necessarily the biological parents?
Quite a bit, actually. For a while there, I taught foster parents. There was a foster parent group in Roswell that I went in and I worked with for almost a year. Um, and a lot of times, actually, I work with grandparents who are taking care of their kids. So I've done some grandparent training as well. Um, and then every now and then you get an aunt or an uncle who stepped up and taken the kid because their brother or sister needs some help. So there's been quite a bit, quite a few.
So would you say that because some would say, and they say it's based off of certain statistics, but statistics change as the years go on. Um, would you say that the people that are not the biological parents have a more challenging time in dealing with the children than the ones that are, or does it have less to do with the biology?
I think that's a hard question to answer in a lot of ways because I think there is something about the fact that when you give birth to a baby, if you are a person who is quote unquote the normal kind of person, you want to do everything you can to make sure that that child becomes everything that they're supposed to be. But I don't think that you have to be a biological mother to have that instinct. It's like we were just talking a little bit ago. Is your do you need to be physically? the mother of a child to be a mothering. And I don't think that, no. I mean, there's a lot of adoptive families out there. There's a lot of fostering families out there who love those kids and who give them everything they've got. So no, I don't think it's necessarily that you have to be that child's biological parent to love them and to raise them to be really good, healthy, and happy people. Um,
Mhm.
I know, there's just something innate in us that says, you know, I've got to give birth to a child in order to give them everything they need. And I don't think that's true. I know several adoptive families who, you know, bend over backward to do everything they can to make sure that child has everything they need to become um, the most exceptional person you ever want to meet. So I think it has more to do with heart. I really think it has more to do with heart.
It's a matter of the heart. I got you. That makes a lot of sense. I completely agree with you. When you were talking about what influenced you to get into this, when you're dealing with the training, do you bring any of your own upbringing into it?
I was very lucky. I had two of the most outstanding parents you ever want to meet. They both passed on now, but they are to this day. I just remember how wonderful they were. My mother, unlike most people her generation, she didn't give birth to me till she was in her 30s,
Okay.
and she was almost 40 when she gave birth to my sister. But her and my dad, they loved each other. They worked with us on things. I'll never forget. One of the best things about my mom is that she worked for the school system so that she could be with us. And one of the things she used to do that I to this day gives me a chuckle is she would play teacher with us, and the name of the teacher was Mrs. High Pockets, and she would toot her hiney in the air and play with us and help us with all kinds of things. And that, she was just fun. She was fun to be around. She was a great mom. Um, they took us to live theater. They took us to the park to play. One of my favorite things to do was when my dad would pick me up from the orthodontist, and then we'd go to the park for lunch. I mean, so I had really great parents,
That's a
and I
blessing.
think you better believe it. I think it every day because I have a lot of friends who still tell me they miss my dad because their fathers weren't in their lives the way that they should have been, and my dad stepped up and was a dad figure to them. So I mean, I was just on the phone with a friend a couple of weeks ago, and she said, "I miss your dad," and I
Oh,
said, "I know, I miss him too."
yeah,
But that's the kind of parents I had.
yeah. I feel you. I have those kind of parents as well that has heavy influence on other people. In fact, I was very protective of my parents. Okay, maybe protective is not the word. I was stingy. People will come and tell me, that's my dad, that's my mom. Like, no, they're not. It's mine. Walk away. I was
Just
that kid.
nigger.
Sorry for all those that I did that to. But they have that kind of personality, and they're still doing it. So I was definitely blessed as well, and that's how part of how I learned how to be a parent. And I learned from my grandmother as well, who I felt was an awesome parent as well. I felt she was a super parent. Um, so how often are you dealing with um, families that are dealing with trouble in the home? So like abuse in the home, whatever kind of abuse. Do you deal with those
Um,
kind of situations?
I do deal with those kinds of situations. Matter of fact, several of the parents that I've worked with over the years have been parents whose children were wards of the state at one time or another. Um, but what I can tell you is most of those parents um, are broken people, and they need love, they need compassion, they need help, and quite honestly, sometimes they need reparenting. They just need somebody to come along in their corner and put their arm around them and say, "Yeah, you can make it. You can make the changes that you need to have a healthy home for your kids." And it's going to take work, but I'm right here. Let's roll up our sleeves and let's do it. So I think a lot of times we in society want to say that if someone loses control and hurts a child, that we need to throw them out with the bathwater. But most of the time, those folks are just stressed to the max. They're they're hurting themselves. They don't know what to do. They've just reached their limit, and they reach out and they take it out on the ones that they can take it out on, um, and they live with a lot of regret behind that. They live with a lot of tears and a lot of hurt and a lot of anger at themselves. And so I really wanted to be the person that says, you made some mistakes. You made some horrible mistakes. You made some bad choices. You made choices that hurt yourself, that hurt your kids, that hurt your family. But that doesn't have to be the end of your story. You can
Okay.
turn it around. You can make a difference. You can fix it, but you have to want to fix it, and you have to be willing to do whatever it takes to fix it.
Do you find that your approach is very successful, or do you have like a 50-50 success rate kind of thing? Like, what contributes to what helps the home?
I have an 81% success rate,
Okay.
and I can tell you that most of the people that I deal with, it's because they are so introspective. It's because they're willing to confront whatever issues are in their lives, in their own heart, inside them, and they're willing to deal with it. They don't always come into the program willing to deal with it, but the more we get into it, the more we talk about it, the more exercises they do, the more they're willing to explore it. That's another thing about my program. It's a little different. Um, I specifically made it so that we we're not just talking, me just talking, and parents are talking back to me. What we do is we do individual exercises, we do partner exercises, we do um, small group exercises, we do whole group exercises where we're constantly talking, communicating with different people in the group. Because I believe that parents learn as much from each other as they do from me. And
Hmm.
so I do some one on one coaching, but I try not to do that as much because I really feel like parents get more help and more information from other parents. And I really want them to create relationships with other parents so that when I'm not around, they can pick up the phone. Let me call Susie, who I was in that class with, and talk to her, talk this through with her, because I know that she and I are kind of on the same wavelength and she's going to help me. Because
Okay.
ultimately, I'm only there for a little bit of time. But if you've gone through this with someone else who can help you 6 months, 8 months, 10 years down the road, then you're going to be better off than trying to find me again or trying to find someone else.
So
If
you
you've,
help them build on their support system.
yes, because I believe a support system is paramount to good parenting.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, there is the Search Institute and one other that I'm pulling a blank on. They say that the most important thing that you can have as a parent is a community of other people around you who are supporting you, who you can turn to for answers and counsel. And so I tell people all the time in my classes, your best support system is another parent. You can take my class and I'm going to help you with this, but when you go through this, and you have another parent who's got a child that same age, who's got a child a little older, who can tell you what they did, that is going to be a really good resource for you. I don't have all the answers, because quite honestly, I'm not a parent. You know, but what I do, I mean, I know child psychology, I know child development, I know I work with kids from birth to age 21 because I've taught everything from early childhood to college. Um, so I know kids, and I can help parents kind of figure out what tools they need. One matter of fact, one of our best classes is parenting mentoring teens. People love that class. Um, so I can give a lot of good information, and I can give you tools that you can use to make your relationship with your children better. But
Mhm.
ultimately, the relationship you have with your child is yours. You have to be the one to build it.
Yeah, true. And that support system is really important. Just like our organization that we're part of with BOSS, that's, everybody's not an expert in everything, but we support each other and figure out who needs what and how and who has what resources. So that's definitely important in regards to parenting. Um, you know, People assume by looking at certain people that their stories. Like I was always seen a certain way, like, oh, you must have a whole bunch of money, you must be this, and you must, you know, your kids act like this, so y'all probably never went through anything. I'm like, you have no idea, no idea.
Yeah,
Okay, like we fought hard to get to where we're at today. So definitely need more organizations like yours and the support system that you offer um, in helping people to stay out of the system, first of all.
yeah.
Um, to to be able to get those resources because I'm not shy about telling my own story. I was just one paycheck away from being out on the streets, which is the story of a lot of Americans right now. Um, some of them are out on the streets, a lot of them, millions of them. Um, and in those situations, a lot of people get their children taken from them, so that they can get better care. So if you don't have the resources to take care of them, you're taken out of the situation. Has that happened with any of the people you dealt with?
Um, I don't usually if I get involved in the situation, usually if they're on the cusp of that, uh,
Okay.
the judge or whoever they're dealing with, because I'm in the picture, will give them a little more time. And a lot of
Okay.
times, I'm able to help prevent that from happening. But I have dealt with parents who have had their kids taken, and I've done a lot of work with homeless shelters, with folks in homeless shelters with their parenting. And so folks who are in that situation who for some reason or another, because it's a very stressful time in people's lives, and they need help to keep it maintaining the kind of care for their kids that they want to provide, even if for that period of time they are homeless. And I found that the more support parents get during that time, the stronger their ties remain with their kid. And a lot of times, when you go through that as a family, when you come out the other side, you are stronger as a family because you've been through hard times and you stuck it together and you made it through. And I think sometimes we forget that it doesn't matter what happens to us. It matters how we go through what's happening to us. I remember one time I was with a group of parents and at the Salvation Army, and we were talking, and all of them were saying things like, "Well, you don't understand. I'm homeless." And da 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 da. And so I just finally stopped them, and I said, how many of you here in your room upstairs have at least three pairs of shoes? Everybody in the room rose their hand. I said, Do you know that you have more than 87% of the world? Because 87% of the world don't have shoes. And it gave them a whole new perspective. They're like, oh, wait. I have shoes, and there are people in this world who don't have shoes. They don't have shoes today. They're not going to have shoes tomorrow. They don't have shoes next year. And so it helps to switch your perspective around a little bit and remember to count your blessings. So when we count our blessings, it helps us to take a breath and keep moving forward. Asia? Oops, I think we froze or something. Uh-oh. Did we lose connection?
We did for a second. We're back though. I don't know what happened. I was like,
All right, then.
Okay. Moving on. That was interesting. But yeah, so you're more than just a trainer or a speaker. You're an advocate because you spoke about those that are able to use the fact that they're getting assistance with you in court to show that they are showing improvement. Is that correct?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I have often. There was one young lady who was a client of mine, um, and her son was severely burned in a bathtub accident, and he was taken away from her, and um, she was up for some jail time. Uh,
Ooh.
and so one of the things I did was I went and I did a little research on on, on what was going on with that, and I found out by looking on the National Center of Health website that a child who's in scalding water can be in the scalding water for less than 3 seconds and get third-degree burns. So what happened is she was really tired. She turned on the water, and she wasn't really paying attention to what was going on. Um, she turned away, and somehow the water in her apartment building had gotten to a scalding temperature, and he started crying. And as soon as she started crying, she yanked him out of the tub. Well, the amount of time it took her to yank him out of the tub was 2 or 3 seconds. So he had third-degree burns. And
Oh,
the lawyer let me know that it was the fact that I did that research and that he was able to read that out in court that had her charges dropped.
wow, that's amazing. How
Yeah,
life changing. Because it
it,
could have gone a different direction.
it really could have, because people don't know those kinds of things, but it makes a difference when you know stuff like that. It,
Yeah,
it, and so I always try to go the extra mile for my clients because you never know what little piece of understanding that you give to uh, a judge or a social worker or anybody else that will make a difference for that family.
yeah, that's yeah. Um, you have an event coming up, correct?
I do. I'm really excited about this. Um,
Talk about this
it's
event.
called it's called the Best Parenting Practices Expo. It's going to be April the 24th, and I have gathered. Uh, Besides myself, there are 7 other women um, who are dynamic in their fields. And I'm excited about them. If you don't mind, I'd like to tell you a little bit about them and what sessions they're doing. Is that okay?
Sure, go ahead.
So the first person, her name is Teresa Carthren. She's a nurse. She's been a nurse for a long while, and she's really dynamic. She's probably our most famous person who's on this because she's an international speaker. She did some stuff with Oprah. Um, and so she's spoken in Ireland and Canada and several other places. And she's doing 2 sessions. The first session she's doing is called um, parental self-care, because it's really important that parents take care of themselves. They do what's good for them. Um, and it's more than just about making sure you get a shower or you eat. So those are important things, but it goes beyond that. And then
Right.
she's doing another one called parenting in the pandemic, because she's a nurse. She understands all these kinds of things. I know one thing she's planning on doing is teaching people how to make their own hand sanitizer. So I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, exactly.
okay.
So I think that's really amazing. The next person, her name is Sean Edwards, and she is out of Austin. She's been in Montessori education for 36 years. So when it comes to talking about education and parenting, she knows what she's talking about. And I'm really excited to have her. And the name of her session is Parenting with Emotional Intelligence and Love. So really talking about what emotional intelligence is as a parent, and how you can use that to help your kid to grow. So I'm really loving that one. The next person I want to talk about, her name is Lori Goodman. I love Lori. Lori has a business. She is the queen of finance, and she is amazing. She loves finance. She loves helping people. And so she's going to talk with parents about everything from um, getting your um, getting your financial house in order, making sure you have a will, making sure that you're doing all of those other kinds of financial kinds of things to help your kids. The name of her session is Orderly Conduct, Preparing for the Financially Unexpected. So I just really think that is going to be a session that's really going to help people. The next person is Shireen Hall. Shireen is Jamaican, and I got to know her because when my mom was sick with cancer, she was her home care nurse, and she just really blessed our family. I remember my mom was having such a hard time going back and forth to the hospital because of her blood pressure kept dropping. And finally, Shireen came in as her nurse and she said, "What are you doing? Give your mom coconut water. Coconut water is is going to help keep her blood pressure up." We got my mom coconut water. She never went back to the hospital because her blood pressure went down. I mean, that little thing. Um, but she's an expert in caring for the elderly. So the name of her session is Living in the Sandwich Generation. Because, she really wants to talk to parents about taking care of themselves, taking care of their kids, and taking care of their parents. So she's going to really help people with that. The next person, her name is Shawanda Hood. Now, I'm her mentor, but she taught me so much. Um, at 12 years old, she helped her aunt get her dissertation in psychology. So she's been doing psychology for 30 plus years, even though she's only 48. But she's doing one called What's in Your Mental Health Toolbox? And so she's got a lot of tools and a lot of things to help people really, especially after this pandemic and everything that's been going on and how stressed out people are and overwhelmed. So she's really doing that. And then there's one more person. Her name is Karen Nichols. She is actually in Michigan, and she's doing a class called Master Your Schedule. And so she's really helped people with kids 12 and under kind of create a schedule where they can live life and be themselves, whether they're at work or at home. And then, as I said, I'm doing the Parenting and Mentoring Team session, but I'm also doing one called The Friendly Enemy, and talking to parents about how to protect their children from child sexual abusers. And so those are the sessions that are available. We've got it set up so that there's 3 different sessions, 4 classes each session, so parents can go in and pick what they want. I've done a podcast with each of them, so if they go on our website to the Best Parenting Practices page, they can listen to each little 10-15 minute podcast and decide which ones are for them. And before that event, so that day, they know who they want to listen to.
Okay, that's smart.
Thank
I like
you.
that approach. You're welcome. And as I was showing earlier, this is her website, which you guys can go to. The information is on her site. Also, if you go to my website and click on her name under Pure Live event, it'll lead you right to the page that you need to in order to sign up for this event.
Thank
So,
you, Asia. I appreciate
you're
that.
welcome. You know, as boss girls stick together.
Yes, we do. Let's talk about Bosch for a second, just because we can.
Okay.
I am so in love with Boss and all of the things that it has given me. First of all, Yasmin is just the powerhouse of energy, positive energy. She's so rah rah. You can do it. you know,
Yes, it is.
and I love it. I've only been a member for about 3 months, but what I've gotten in those 3 months will make me a boss lady for a very long time.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm approaching a year, I believe.
Oh.
I knew about Boss for a while. I kept seeing the events, and I'm like, okay. Then I decided to reach out to her directly and say, what is this about? So yeah, I do recommend, for you guys, just in case you forgot how to get to the site. Let me help you. And it's beautystrives.com. Here we go.
Yay! Yeah, I'm telling you guys, if you're looking for a group of women who will love you, nurture you, support you, and kick you in the seat of the pants when you need it, you need boss.
There you
Guaranteed.
go. There you go. So, real quick before we go, and I'm gonna have you say closing statements. There's somebody that I support 100%, and when you see his name, you see why. But Elijah Jamal came out with a new single recently, and I want you guys to get a little taste. Here we go.
Oh yeah.
Girl, close your eyes. Let the rhythm get into you. Don't try to fight it. There ain't nothing that you can do. Relax your mind. Lay back your grooving mind. You gotta feel that heat. And we can ride the boogie. Should I feel the love? I wanna rock with you all night.
Yes. It got that groove, don't it?
Yeah.
Yes. I was like, man, you brave. You talking about you gonna remix Rock With You. That was a hit. I don't know. And then I heard, I was like, yes, yes. It is on my playlist. Thank you very much. So you guys can download it. And every way that you can download music, it is available.
Awesome.
So every way. You have no excuse. Go ahead and download it. Elijah Jamal, Rock With You. Okay. So, so, Barb, I want you to take this time to give your closing remarks. What do you want to say to the audience? What do you want them to take away from what we talked about today?
Um, Listen, guys. I've just really been working on my $1 million brand statement, and basically what it is I am an empathetic trainer, speaker, and coach. I am passionate about helping you to create loving, respectful, and joyful relationships with your kids that last a lifetime. And if that's something you want to do, then, you know, check out the Best Parenting Practices Expo because I guarantee you, me and 7 other women are going to sow seeds into your life that are going to help you build those relationships with your kids. And that's who we are. That's what we do. So
Amen. Absolutely. Right there in a nutshell. There's the website. And again, you can go to my website under Pure Life Events and you can click on her name. Lead you straight to the event so you can sign up. You don't have to no clicking around or anything. Straight. And just in case you forgot, there's my website. Okay. So yes, thank you so much for joining us today, Barb. I appreciate it. We got a lot of knowledge today.
This was a lot of fun. I had a really good time. Thank you for inviting me on. Um, I really love Pure Talk Live, and I'm going to have to watch you on a regular basis. And oh, by the way, guys, is it possible for them to like this on YouTube? And
Yes. So for those of you that are watching it on YouTube, yes, thank you for reminding me. I forget sometimes. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, go ahead and like and subscribe and click on that bell just in case you want to get notifications when I put something new out there, which I do on a regular basis. And if you are on Facebook, yes, you can go ahead and like the page and follow me, and you will see all of the new things that I post in regards to the show and the new opportunities and like the discounts I mentioned that you can get through my website. You find that out from following me. You gotta follow me. You can also sign up for my newsletter if you go on my website. You scroll all the way down, you'll see at the bottom where you can subscribe.
And I will say, please, when you're on the website on our homepage, you can sign up for our mailing list too. I send out weekly emails on everything from how to improve your life as a married couple to how to plan for your kids' future and help them with that. So, and then all of our social media is on our website, so you can hook up with us that way.
All right, all good nuggets. See, you can't go wrong with any of that. And she's also on LinkedIn.
Yes, I am.
There's her information. Also, if you need to get a hold of her, here's her business phone number right here, 706-653-0542. And that number again is 706-653-0542. Yeah, I got my commercial voice on for a second.
I like it.
Thank you very much. So yes, so thank you guys so much for listening in for today. We will be back here again as we do every single Friday at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. Remember to embrace God's purpose design, which is you. Till next time. Bye everyone.
Although weeping lasted all night, I know that joy